Hey everyone. So one thing that I have realized is that I have not talked I have talked about my cat, Nala. I have talked about my dog Fritz. I have not talked about the chickens that we had. So that's what I'm gonna be doing in this video. And when I said had, I mean we don't have them anymore. And I will get into detail of to why later in this video. We don't have them anymore. Um, so we got our chickens years ago, and we got them at this animal farm store when they were just little chicks. My mom tried to do some research on what are you like friendly chickens, and so that's what we based off our chick selection. And since it's the four of us, each one of us had our own chick. So I had mine, my sister had hers, and my mom and dad had us. And so so we ended up because of where we live, we didn't want them to be in a coop outside. There were little chicks too. So you don't do that yet. So we ended up my mom got a um plastic storage container and basically made a little like a home for the chicks to live in. And and she had it be like clear plastic so we could watch them and see them while they were in there. And so the names of our chicks, mine, when she was a chick, she was like black and white. I named her Peeps. My dad had a yellow chicken, and he named her Blondie. She did not, of course, stay that way. She ended up looking completely different when she was fully grown. And then my sister had a light brown chicken that laid green, ended up laying green eggs, named Omelet. And then my mom had a darker brown chick named Peach Lorraine. And so those were our four chickies. And this was back when we had our dog Ty. And they basically kind of had like a little free roam around the house as little chicks. They would sleep on his dog bed and he would just let them. He was just such a sweetheart. Fritz would not do that. Fritz would probably bark at them. I don't know if we had him at the time. And they were just like so sweet and small. Mine used to like go up to like my shoulder and sleep in my hair. And then when I had my laptop on my lap, she would lay and sleep on my laptop because it was nice and warm. So yeah. Um, but then once they started getting bigger, we got them a coop. My parents put it together. And the coop was actually meant for three chickens and not four chickens. Um, and we decided that we weren't gonna be one of those people to clip their wings. So they were able to fly instead of sleeping. They would sleep instead of sleeping in the coop. They would sleep on top of the coop on the roof, and they would like huddle together to keep each other warm. My mom's chicken was the one who decided to be the leader of the chicks, and so everything was good, everything was happy. We had our four chickens. And then these people were visiting one of the neighbors that lived around where we live. And the dogs went off and decided to end up chasing our chickens. And this is basically the story of how we end up losing Momo's chicken. And so they fled and they went hiding. But actually, I'm gonna put that aside. So it was my job basically to take care of the chickens. Since they slept on the roof, I had to scrape the poop off the roof, get them food, water. And the thing is, like, when it's like winter time, the eggs, you had to like get them right at like as soon as possible because they would freeze. The yolk and the egg white inside would freeze, and so that would be a big problem. And also the water would also freeze. So we tried like a heating pad, we tried a heating rod that you would use for like reptiles to keep the water from freezing over. We gave them the little dried out mealworms. We also give them leftover food. I would give them rice, and they loved mac and cheese. It was so funny to see the mac and cheese get like the cheese like get on the beaks, and they would like um clean off the beaks on like the stones that we had out there. Um, my chicken, like she decided instead of laying eggs inside her coop, she would lay eggs on the front, like on one of the chairs, one of the patio chairs instead. And so I would sometimes go out there and I'd pet her and I'd like kind of be like her cheerleader to try to like help her like like lay her egg basically. Um. So yeah, but she was like she was actually like pretty nice when I was like all for them. So yeah, and they would want to like try to come into the house. They would like be pecking at our back screen at door, a sliding door, wanting to get in. They would even like sleep right outside of it too because they felt safe because we lived out like kind of like near the countryside and we had owls, eagles, hawks, and of course coyotes. Um, which was a big problem because coyotes like chickens. Um, so yeah, so everything was good, and then of course the dogs, going to the dogs. So those people's and so chickens all separated. They all fled. So we were like trying to like look for them. I did see my mom's chicken at one point, and instead of picking her up and putting her somewhere safe, I just left her there, which I to this day regret and feel awful about because she was the one who ended up eventually getting got. Found all the other chickens, and we ended up unfortunately losing Peaches. Um, so yeah, and it's kind of sad, like knowing that your chicken's gone. It's also really sad when you end up seeing the remains of the chicken, basically the feathers and stuff like that. Basically, that your chicken is no more. So we lost Peaches. We lost the leader of our chickens. So my chicken decided to take it upon herself to keep the other chickens safe. The problem is, my chicken was not exactly the nicest to my sister's chicken, who was the smallest of the bunch. And our chickens actually did like end up like being like together. My chicken, I believe, was the closest I think to like my mom or my dad's, and then my sister's was close to one of theirs. And so yeah. And my mom's chicken was the one to like keep, the peace and stuff like that. But my chicken decided to be the leader. But like I said, she wasn't exactly the nicest to my sister's chicken. She would peck at her, and she would peck basically like at like her eye and stuff like that. She was not hot. See, this chicken, my sister's chicken was not hot. Thank goodness. But yeah, she was not the nicest. So my dad's chicken would, when I was sleeping on the roof, would get in between them, so my chicken could not get at hot chicken. So my chicken ended up starting out as a nice chicken to a tyrant. Basically, I ended up being afraid of my own chicken because she had tried to attack my leg. One time, she came running at me and tried to peck at my leg. And one time, she actually ended up pecking my hand, and she ended up getting like really good because the beaks are like, the pointy, the hard. Yeah, well, like a bird's beak. They are just, ugh. And like she like was like flapping her wings too, and just like ready to just fly up and just. So that was a lot of fun. My mom was like basically the only one believed me that my chicken attacked me, and that's the thing. Like you think like, oh, roosters are the ones that usually would attack people. No, chickens will also attack you too. They will peck you if you try sometimes to take the egg from out from underneath them. So yeah, uh, so yeah, and then I think the one that ended up dying, I think next I think like I think my sisters, I think my sisters, and so they were attacked again. And my sister, since hers was the smallest, got the worst of it, and we didn't know how bad it was until we actually checked her. And this is kind of like, if you don't want to hear this, then and stop watching the video because it's going to get pretty gross. So my dad decided to check on her wound, and there were maggots inside of it, and he was trying to like get the maggots out and clean it, but it was so bad at that point. There was really nothing that we could do. So my dad ended up having to put down my sister's chicken. I felt so bad for my sister when that happened. Oh gosh. Um, it was just awful. And then my dad's was the last one to go. Mine was the only one to survive. And she had like these like she was black, but what if like the center kind of had like this like kind of like iridescent thing where it's kind of like green and blue and stuff like that. Her feathers would be. So it would be really pretty, but she was just, oh, she was awful. But we felt bad for her. We were thinking about maybe ending up to get chicks again, and so that way she wouldn't be lonely. But it takes like a good long while until they end up being fully grown and they would be able to be with her. So we ultimately decided to give her to one of our neighbors, and one of our neighbors was more than happy to take her in, and she's been living with them ever since. I have not checked on her. If I ever do go over again, I will ask my neighbor if I can see her and see how she's doing. We did check on her at first, and she was kind of like being a little bit antisocial because she wasn't used. She like, grew up with these other chickens, so she didn't really know them. She just kept kind of to herself. But a chicken that was not in the best of like shape itself. It had like a messed up um feet. Um, So yeah, I believe it was that one. So yeah, that's the story of chickens. My parents are not planning on having any again anytime soon, and I think it'd be kind of fun to actually get them as like eggs and have like an incubator and watch them like hatch and stuff like that. I think that would be pretty fun. Maybe someday I will do that, and they will end up being able to live at my parents' house. We will probably have we this was a learning process for us. We know what to do and what not to do for the next time we have and they would have chickens again. But yeah, if you guys, if any of you guys had any chickens or chicken related stories, please let me know down in the comments. I would love to hear your story. But yeah, that was Fairway Pets. We just now have the pets that we have now. My parents have my cat Nola. I have Fritz. So yeah, bye.